there for like 6 months too.
Well, it says in there, the bank is common.
Yeah, there's always that little pipe.
But I guess that's pretty impressive. That was new.
Audio quality wise?
No, I thought they were redeeming ourselves. I know a lot of people like broken their contracts for the room, but I thought between the last batch of us working and we all honored our contract.
Like something that wasn't
I'm not paying for it. I didn't want to damage our good name. I think there were like 3 alarms.
I recorded 8 hours of Ray.
On that.
But it's like, it's such a great tool. Something blows up,
Guys mind if I stand at the back of the room? How are you? You guys tell me when you're ready and we'll kick off, or do we want to give a few more minutes if anybody else is want to show up? If they snooze, they lose. That's what you guys are saying in the back. I can hear it. We're like, no, let's go. I appreciate everybody attending today. Of course, this isn't something that we'd like to do and would not want to be here in this situation if we wasn't put here. The truth is, the first thing I want everyone to know, and especially the family of Cynthia Kinney, is how sorry I am that they have been used and put in this situation and given absolute false information in this. The district attorney and anybody associated with that, there is no more heinous act than for someone to use the family and use the situation to try to turn it around for any reason. As far as the Osage County Sheriff's Department and myself, the victims and the victim's family come first every time and without exception, and a line has been crossed that I will not tolerate. And my apologies goes out for them being tangled up in whatever this is and whatever other people are trying to do. You know, the facts are really simple. I started this case the first time in the early 2000s. I spent weeks and weeks and followed every lead in that case until there was nowhere to go. I continued again in 2012 when I got additional information while I actually worked for the state in a different occupation and contacted the Osage County Sheriff's Department, returned, spent days following that information as far as it could go. And then again, after taking office, while cleaning out areas, we discovered another box that we hadn't looked through, went through that box and found a lead, and again followed up on that lead to make sure. And in that, we ended up removing concrete to just double check to make sure there was absolutely nothing to that information. And then after doing that, we actually found out that had been done back at the time that information had came in, but because it wasn't valid or there was no documentation on it, but it had been done. So again, in December of this year, when I developed another possibility, we did our job. We started following up. And from that follow-up, it led us into a suspect who we still today believe is the suspect in Cynthia Kinney's case, and we are actively working to get justice and her located and hopefully closure and truth to her family. But that was only done with the intent of doing what we do every day. We additionally have 2 other cold cases that we're currently working and have been in pursuit of answers on those as well. So in regards to this being political, today I'm going to release items to you to prove on our side none of this was political, but on the district attorney's side, it absolutely was. And I can prove to you today that that is in fact, and indeed, I just got a phone call again where the district attorney was attempting to cover up the fact that he had made a call and followed up with an email that I will release to you showing that this was political, but political on his side. And I want everybody to know we never released this information. We worked as quiet and under the scene trying to protect this family from the get-go. Dennis Rader is the one who released this story. I'm the one that no commented and told them to the point that I could everything to keep the family as safe as possible. We didn't break this story this time. We were following up on good leads. However, this district attorney obstructed this investigation and without any due diligence at all, and I mean no due diligence at all, started off, he had the opportunity to come to the first original meeting and get all the information. Okay, what he has done yesterday has messed so much up in this investigation, he has no idea what he did. Okay, the district attorney is unaware that through our investigation, the Kansas Department of Corrections have been working with us and have sat in on every interview since the beginning of this. In addition to that, the OSBI has been provided that information. KBI, everyone has been involved in this. Okay, we have got 5 people that have come forward who claim that they were victims of BTK and were not killed. We're in the process of trying to validate and research and go through that information. 2 of those people are here in Oklahoma. One of those people, because of this, sent me an email last night that said they didn't want to move forward. So this type of activity is unacceptable and will be dealt with through Title 22 in my hopes, as I've reached out to the Oklahoma Attorney General's office after multiple times, not just of this incident, but others. And again, we don't want to play this out in front of the media. This is something that should be handled professionally. If the district attorney had any concern at all, somebody with responsibility would have had their investigator come out and say, Sheriff, we've got some concerns. Can you show us what you got? And not involved ourselves in an investigation of a significant amount that could result in justice. It seems funny to me that we have a district attorney that goes to a family early on without knowing the details and hurts that family. When I can show you, and we'll release today, within his first month of taking office, turned 3 first-degree murderers loose that an Osage County judge had signed a warrant for and referred those cases to the OSBI cold case. I'm also releasing today an email from one of those victims' sons who has reached out and said they were going to be here today or reach out to media as well, but the district attorney did not go to their houses. Again, I'm not going to play this out. This is ridiculous. I can't even tell you what all was going on because this is a very, very unique, different investigation. At some point, hopefully, we get to a conclusion, as we do on any case. And when we get to that, we will reveal what has been put in jeopardy by the lack of communication. And I'm going to release today the last communication I had with this district attorney, which was, due to your current complaint, it's not appropriate for me to talk to you. Could you talk to Ashley? So you're going to get provided today all the information and additional information, because this is something that has crossed every line, anything that I can imagine. And I am absolutely furious because I am the sheriff of Osage County. I am the constitutional law enforcement officer of this county. And from what I'm going to release to you today, according to the state book I was given, he is a prosecutor. And I can assure you that Mr. Fisher has never came out on an active case and wanted to talk directly to the suspect to make sure the information that we were releasing or putting in an affidavit was correct from the criminal that we were working the case on. And again, he reached out and did this in this case. One thing I will release today. Yesterday, while I was in an interview with Dennis Rader, and I have it recorded, he comes in and starts the investigation. Well, I guess I've been cleared. According to your DA, I watched on the news today at noon that you don't have anything. So again, the rest of this will be addressed in the proper places, in the proper manner. And we'll continue to push for justice, honesty, and truth. Because we have one thing beside us, and that is the honest truth. And when you're behind the truth, you absolutely have nothing to fear. And you're a clear book. And anybody that has looked at this, including a group that we have brought together to try to find answers on this case and any others. And these are the top people in the country that have agreed to come in and work with us and law enforcement to try to actually find something. We have numerous places, numerous leads, numerous information that we will continue to pursue to the end of the earth. And yesterday, in his comment, he said we were wasting funds. So today, I would encourage each one of you to look into the recent sale of the Kennedy building here in Osage County, of which I had went to all three commissioners. And I'm telling you, I don't really care if you find a legal way to do something. When you do something wrong and irresponsible, and I promise you, if you look at this case and you want to sit down with me or the clerk or anyone else, you're going to find out probably $500,000 of taxpayers' money was lost in that decision and legal guidance by them. By statute, this district attorney is my representative. Is there anybody out there that would like for their representative to do what was done to me yesterday? It's absolutely unacceptable, will not be tolerated. And then under his guidance and legal advice, if you will check the records, I believe you'll find out over $900,000 of taxpayers' money was spent for an annex, and after spending that, with nothing being done construction-wise, we started all over again. There's a lot here to look at. There's citizens, there's people. I've reached out to the district judge, not on this incident, but prior from other incidents, and I requested him to have a grand jury for the county. I also have made many trips and spent time with Oklahoma Attorney General's office, including a call to him yesterday, requesting again that he takes every bit of this to a multi-county grand jury. We at the Osage County Sheriff's Department have done nothing but been professional and done our jobs, and we would welcome the Attorney General to convene a grand jury and look at not just this, but everything. And we'll be moving forward today with a request to the judge in this matter. And again, we received a call today with part of it recorded where this district attorney was trying to cover his tracks, where back in May, he tried to intervene and put disgrace. I have never, my credibility has never been questioned on any case in anything. And I am a straight shooter. I'll look any man in the eye and I will tell him straight up how it is. Because it is absolutely unspeakable, and we're at a point where this is going to be dealt with whatever it takes. And I appreciate your time. Darren is Bonnie County Sheriff. He's also been under a lot of the things that you're going to see here with me today, and I'd like to give him an opportunity, and his undersheriff, who was also arrested and then the case dismissed, to have a few words.
As Eddie said, we've been fighting the same battle. Eddie, when he took office, was gracious enough to get a in-person visit. I received a letter postmarked the day after I took office concerned about rumors that Mr. Fisher had heard of people that I had hired. No verification to it, but immediately within 24 hours, letter is postmarked and sent to me, claiming that certain individuals I've hired have been subject to Brady Giglio, which is essentially is that you've been accused of lying and got caught doing it. Absolutely no truth to that. Been an ongoing issue in our county. There's currently an OSBI investigation into my finances that, according to the Attorney General's office, has turned up 0 financial improprieties. This investigation was launched by Mr. Fisher and started on December 16th of 2022. As of to date, I still cannot get OSBI to tell me if it's still ongoing or closed, but they assured me that once it's closed, they would let me know. As far as I can tell, what's happened to us and to my undersheriff both is just like what you're seeing in Washington, D.C. with the FBI, is our DA has weaponized the OSBI to come after us, and in doing that, wastes tax dollars and keeps us from being able to do our job like we need to be doing. And I would personally request that Governor Stitt and Attorney General Drummond both start looking into this and investigating. I myself have had a sit-down visit with Attorney General Drummond. It's nothing more than political games is all it is, and it needs to stop, because the only people being hurt are victims and their families and the citizens that it's costing thousands and thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, of wasted taxpayer funds. Just like my undersheriff was accused of embezzlement. Attorney General's office came in and took it, looked at it, and said, well, if there was a crime committed, it occurred in Tulsa County, not in Pawnee County. Tulsa County DA's office did not touch it. Attorney General's office dismissed it. What was never verified is the fact that it allegedly occurred in Tulsa. Under Sheriff Mahoney is also a member of the Cherokee Nation, which would have fell under McGirt ruling. But the due diligence was not done to find that. Like I said, at this point, I think the best thing to happen would be for the governor and the attorney general's office both to start investigating and see exactly what's going on. Mr. Fisher claimed that his relation with Sheriff Burden is broke. I would surmise to say the same works for our relationship. But I would also go so far as to say there's one person responsible for that relationship to be broken. And that would be our district attorney, who has gone out of his way to screw with us instead of coming and sitting down and going, hey, let's talk about this. Just like Sheriff Burden said, he is supposed to be our legal representation. I would hate to think that my legal representation would go out of his way to attack me and try to humiliate me. But that's exactly what's been done for the last 2.5 years. You want to say anything?
We appreciate everybody coming out today. I'll see where the copies if anybody starts. Get a copy. Not at this point.
You said you were gonna play something for us? Is that right?
I'm not gonna play that today, but yes, I have that available to back up, because everything that I say or do is accurate and can be backed up.
Can you talk about, from the podium, the task force you set up? Is that possible?
Yes, we wanna move with that. Right now, I've gotta bring my calmness back down, because this is, if I could tell you the real story and the things that were jeopardized and the things that were done and the accusations made when that person has no idea what we were doing and what kind of professional guidance we had reached out and what we were doing and what was being done. So,
But you are still moving forward with BTK?
oh, absolutely. I was in an interview with BTK yesterday when he informed me that he had been basically watching the news, which he does quite often, and had learned from my district attorney that there was nothing. It was not credible. Evidence had been mishandled. And there was another suspect in this case who was dead. Again, I know every detail of this case. Back when that suspect came in, I followed down the lead. I talked to the investigators that went and verified, and they assured me that he was not involved. But I didn't just take that word. I spent over weeks combing that and even searching locations and digging for 3 days, of which we've still got photographs from, to make sure that something hadn't been missed. So again, this case is ongoing. We have locations provided to us by BTK where he says he has other trophies hid. We are in the process of working to go try to recover those items. Again, I cannot say the frustration of working, missing my grandkids' birthday parties, events, working weekends with my staff volunteering, going to find answers. And again, somebody without even reaching out and giving a courtesy or reaching out to the OSBI, who has been involved to meetings to find out before they go and do something that completely tears the legs and takes almost a year's worth of work out from under you, and does something that has never been done before, or tried to do interviews. We never issued any kind of an affidavit. It wasn't ever even in our thought at this point, or did we ever think we had enough to write an arrest affidavit. Okay, and it was even said in these phone calls to this prison that this was political. This was going to be a political stunt. I had not even decided if I was going to even seek another term at that time. In fact, if you'll check the records, I haven't officially come out and made an announcement. And I can assure you this, if things don't change, I don't want to be involved in a situation where I have to fight the bad guys and what's supposed to be the good guys. This should be a team. I worked within a district attorney's office for a long period of time as an investigator. I know how it's supposed to work. I know how it can work for the people, but it's not. But I can show you the oddities in this case, and I will show all these oddities case, but I'm going to show them in the proper place.
Sheriff, the
Tell us about the
OSBI
task force.
confirming to us yesterday that they are investigating as well. The DA mentioned yesterday that for now these two investigations will run separately. Has the OSBI made any kind of contact with you, and would you consider combining the investigation into one?
We have absolutely had an open door, open communications, and shared everything that we had with the OSBI, with KBI, and every sheriff's department. Okay? What they do without us and what motivation they would have to be running two separate. I mean, have you ever heard of an investigation going where we might have good information, but they don't even want to know it? They just want to go off a different direction. I have no idea where they're at. I assumed they were still participating but working other cases and would join in at whatever point. But again, I know what was tried to be said to the Kansas Department of Corrections, some of that being recorded. So again, knowing that, I could have no idea what people have said in a ridiculous fashion. Again, we're acting in truth, honesty, and doing our job every day. And again, we were trying to assemble and get more help because we find ourselves every day setting on what we believe could be major information and trying to work it from Osage County when we need additional resources. So we have got some of the nation's top leading experts in every field that agreed to volunteer and come in and assist law enforcement in their areas to hopefully get answers and speedier processes than what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So again, I would think we should let the investigation work, that all law enforcement should work together, and that we should move forward to get answers. Again, we've never said we have 100% proof that Dennis Rader was involved in her case. We said he is our prime suspect. From what he said, things that he produced, things that he writ, makes him the prime suspect in our investigation at this point. There are some reporters in here that off the record, we actually showed just a small glimpse into it, and I can assure you they felt like we should continue the investigation and keep moving forward. And again, if the OSBI would like to see it, we've had the door open the whole time. In fact, we've wondered, why aren't they here? How many cold cases? Dennis Rader worked for the United States Census in 1990 and went door to door in Oklahoma. Do we know the answers of what all he did? Well, we potentially had witnesses that had came forward. You know, it's very common that victims in sexual assaults don't even report it. But when they get the courage to come forward and set up meeting and then see what happened yesterday, if you were that victim, would you want to step up and put yourself in that situation when you made a hard decision? One of these cases alleges that they reported the incident when it happened, and that when Dennis Rader was arrested